Hi, my name is Kevin Burgess, and this video is a brief explanation of some character development that I've done recently. I've been working with Lars Iverson on this project for several months, and I just wanted to give a brief explanation of some of the background and some of the thought processes that have been going on to get to where we are with these characters. So, you might have seen this presentation that Lars gave the other day. Let me fast forward to the character part. As you recall, one of our biggest initiatives is to kind of upgrade the visual quality of the characters that we see today. It's a big initiative that we definitely want to tackle soon. In this presentation, just threw out some styles. There's cell shaded, there's photographs, there's kind of stylistic. And I had this character, and I wanted to give a little bit more information about where are these pictures coming from? You know, what's the source of this? If we go to a website called cgriver.com, they have an extraordinary library of human characters that we can purchase, and for relatively cheap. For example, this casual attire man here is available for $39. But one thing that you should be aware of is this man will only be in this pose. He doesn't have any sort of means of lifting his arms or bending his knees or turning his head. It's static. So that's a limitation, and that's why it's $39. You kind of get what you pay for there. So if we show the children that CG River has to offer, you can kind of get down and see some of these kids that I've already purchased. Now, I've purchased this model right here for $67. This one right here, I believe this little boy here, and then kind of a youngish woman. And let's go back to the presentation and I can show you which ones. So I have this model, this model, this model, and this one. And then I bought a fifth one, this model right here. So a few months ago I said to myself, well, I want to make a prototype. I want to show how to rig one of these characters and make it portable. And that's really kind of the meat and potatoes of this video. So let me take you to 3D Studio Max, and here is that character. And if I hide the geometry, just all the there's the wireframe. You can see this thing is made up of a lot of polygons and a lot of vertices. I can tumble around it and kind of see that it's a 3D model. I'll turn off the geometry, just hide it. And here's the prototype that I made. All of this rig was not available at CG River. I made this. And I just wanted to briefly explain what its purpose is and how it works. So think of a rig as a skeleton that we have inside of our bodies. And I've even named these bones the appropriate names. Left femur, fibula tibia, radius ulna, humerus, spine bones and finger bones, and wrist and head. And so if I grab these control shapes here and I wiggle them, what I've done is I've created this skeleton so that it behaves just like the human body. And I've got the elbows pointing to these green cubes so that I can kind of control how the human body works. So I've even done a little bit of control shapes here. I create these little special features if I want to make the hands close. And I've done a bunch of stuff in the face that I'll show in a little bit. So I'll turn the geometry back on, and then you can see that I can grab her wrist and I can move her arms around. I can move her legs around. So I want you to imagine that you've got a library of characters like this. Let's throw in a piece of playground equipment here. Here's a net structure. And now we can quickly grab this 3D model, put her hand close to the net, grab this shape right here, close her hand a little bit, maybe adjust that a little bit more. And let's bring her arm down close to her body. Back it up a little bit. So the whole point is that we have a very quickly editable figure that any designer in any of the Kompan CEOs around the world can quickly edit. You can see I just edited this thing in about 30 seconds. I've gone a little bit further, and we can also enhance her expressions. We can make her smile. The idea was that I wanted to eventually get into animation, and we can have her blink, and we can move her eyebrows up and down. I know she kind of looks like a zombie right now. Um, but you know, animators do this to a really high degree, and so we can even adjust where she's looking at. Now, one thing that's super important that you should understand, that what you're looking at here in this viewport in 3D Studio Max is not the visual quality that our posters or our animations will have. I did some renders earlier, and this is the visual quality that this model outputs. So when you're looking at this model and you're asking yourself, man, she looks creepy, she's kind of way down in the uncanny valley, I want you to just be aware that this is the output. This is what she'll look like. And her hair is quite photorealistic, and her face is pretty strong in terms of realism, and her clothes are definitely very realistic. And so I chose this model for no other reason than she looks a little bit like my daughter. That was the only reason why I chose this model to create the prototype for. And I certainly can take this prototype that I've just shared with you in the last couple minutes, and I can port it to all the other characters that you see. So, you know, cut and paste that skeleton and apply it to this human figure, and apply it to this human figure. And so what I was speaking of in this presentation was that we can purchase 15 of these characters, and they're about $60 a model. And then I know a couple people that can rig these characters to the level of fidelity that I have, and they do it fairly cheap. And then I know a guy named Dustin Gagner, and he's willing to do it for $500. And I talked to a commercial third-party vendor in Vietnam that I've worked with before, and they quoted me at $900. So really affordable in terms of the amount of labor that goes into this stuff. And then that will give us a tool to replace the visual quality that we see here. So that's really the whole point of this video, and please feel free to email me if you have any questions, if you feel a call, and my email address at Kompan is kevburr@kompan.com. Thanks very much for listening.